They tried to use fear gas on the human. He inhaled it and said, "Smells like home." The airlock hissed open, and the masked figures shoved him inside the gas chamber without ceremony. The lead scientist watched through the reinforced glass, her gloved fingers tightening around the data pad. This was the moment they'd been waiting for. The prisoner, a man with eyes too calm for someone facing psychological annihilation, simply smirked as the vents spewed thick, greenish mist, fear gas, the most potent weapon in their arsenal. It shredded minds, turned hardened soldiers into weeping wrecks, and forced victims to relive their worst nightmares. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now. Hit the notification bell, so you're first in line when new stories land. Alright, let's dive into the story. Human found an injured beast and saved it. Not knowing it was the pet of the Baroness, the forest knew something was wrong. Ryan Holt felt it in the unnatural silence, in the way the snow-laden branches held their breath. The storm had passed, but danger still lingered, hidden, waiting. Then he saw the blood. Crimson streaks slashed across the pristine white, leading him deeper into the trees toward a horror he couldn't have imagined. Behind a fallen log, the beast lay dying. Its golden eyes locked onto Ryan, burning with terrifying intelligence. No wolf had claws like knives. No wolf bled black. And no wolf looked at a man like it was pleading for help. Ryan reached out, his pulse hammering. He had no idea this act of mercy would drag him into a war, or that the woman hunting this creature would change everything. By the time he learned the truth, it would already be too late to run. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now. Hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Alright, let's dive into the story. Chapter 1. The morning sun cast a golden glow over the bustling streets of Eldermere, where the scent of freshly baked bread mingled with the salty tang of the nearby harbor. A young woman with fiery red hair and a determined glint in her eyes weaved through the crowd, her boots kicking up dust as she hurried toward the market square. "Out of the way unless you fancy being trampled," she called, though her grin took the edge off her words. A burly man carrying a crate of apples snorted. "Always in a rush, Rena. What's got your britches in a twist this time?" She skidded to a stop, tossing him a cheeky wink. "Wouldn't you like to know, Garrett? Maybe I've got a date with Destiny, or at least with a pint at the Rusty Anchor." Garrett shook his head, chuckling. "Destiny's got a funny way of finding you, girl. Just don't drag the rest of us into your mess again." Rena waved him off, already darting ahead. "No promises." The market square was alive with chatter, merchants haggling, and children darting between stalls. Rena's eyes locked onto a familiar figure leaning against a wooden post, his arms crossed and a smirk playing on his lips. "Took you long enough," Cale said, pushing off the post with his shoulder. "I was starting to think you'd gotten lost." She punched his arm lightly. "Please, I could navigate this place blindfolded. You're just impatient. Or maybe I've got better things to do than wait for your Royal Highness," he shot back, though his tone was warm. Rena rolled her eyes. "Oh, spare me the dramatics. What's the job?" Cale's smirk faded, replaced by a seriousness that made her spine straighten. "Word is, the Blackthorn gang's been smuggling relics out of the old ruins near the Whispering Woods. The kind of relics that shouldn't see daylight." She whistled low. "That's not good. Those ruins are cursed 6 ways to sundown. What's the pay?" "Enough to keep us fed for a month. Plus, a favor from the guild." Rena's eyebrows shot up. "Now that's interesting. Who's footing the bill?" Cale hesitated, glancing around before lowering his voice. "The scholar." Her breath hitched. "You're joking. Wish I was. You in?" Rena chewed her lip, weighing the risks. The scholar wasn't just some back-alley informant. He was a ghost, a legend. Working for him meant stepping into something bigger than a simple relic hunt. But the thrill of the unknown buzzed in her veins. "When do we leave?" Cale grinned. "Now. Pack light, and try not to get us killed." She scoffed, already turning toward the tavern. "No promises," she repeated, her laughter trailing behind her like a challenge to the fates. The cobblestones beneath their feet echoed with the promise of adventure, and for the first time in weeks, Rena felt alive. Whatever lay ahead, it was going to be anything but boring. Chapter 2. Ryan's cabin creaked under the weight of the winter wind, the fire in the hearth struggling to keep the cold at bay. The beast, Nero, as Diana had called him, lay curled near the flames, his golden eyes flickering with an unsettling intelligence. Ryan sat across from him, nursing a steaming mug of coffee, studying the creature. 3 days had passed since he dragged Nero out of the snow, and the beast hadn't so much as bared a fong at him. "You're not just some animal, are you?" Ryan muttered, half to himself. Nero's ear twitched, his massive head tilting as if considering the question. Then, with deliberate slowness, he exhaled through his nose, almost like a sigh. Ryan smirked. "Yeah, I figured." A sharp knock at the door shattered the moment. Ryan froze. No one came this deep into the woods unannounced. Nero's body tensed, his lips peeling back in a silent snarl. "Easy," Ryan whispered, standing slowly. He grabbed the hunting rifle leaning against the wall, just in case, before stepping toward the door. The knock came again, harder this time. Ryan yanked the door open, his grip tightening on the rifle. The woman standing on his porch was unlike anyone he'd ever seen. Her sleek black suit clung to her like a second skin, the silver serpent pendant at her throat glinting in the pale light. Her dark eyes locked onto his, sharp and unreadable. "Dr. Holt," she said, her voice smooth but edged with something dangerous. "I'm Diana Voss." Ryan didn't lower the gun. "You lost." Diana's lips curled into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Not at all. I believe you have something of mine." Behind Ryan, a low, rumbling growl filled the cabin. Diana's gaze flickered past him, her expression shifting, just for a second, into something almost relieved. "Ah, there you are, Nero." Ryan didn't move. "You know this thing?" "This thing has a name," Diana said coolly. "And yes, I do. He's mine." Nero's growl deepened, but he didn't advance. Ryan glanced back at the beast, then at Diana. "He was half dead when I found him. If he's yours, how'd he end up bleeding out in the snow?" Diana's jaw tightened. "That's none of your concern." "Like hell it isn't," Ryan snapped. "I patched him up. I've been feeding him. That makes him my concern." Diana studied him for a long moment, then sighed. "You're stubborn. I'll give you that." She stepped forward, her boots clicking against the wooden floor. Nero's ears flattened, but he didn't retreat. Ryan blocked her path. "Not another step." Diana arched a brow. "Or what? You'll shoot me?" "If I have to." She laughed, a short, humorless sound. "You'd miss." Before Ryan could react, her hand flashed out, twisting the rifle from his grip with terrifying ease. She tossed it onto the couch like it was nothing. Ryan stared, his pulse roaring in his ears. "What the hell are you?" Diana smirked. "Someone you don't want as an enemy." She turned her attention back to Nero, her voice softening. "Come on, boy. Time to go." Nero didn't move. Instead, he looked at Ryan, his golden eyes almost pleading. Ryan frowned. "He doesn't want to leave." Diana's confidence wavered for the first time. She crouched, holding out a hand. "Nero, now." The beast hesitated, then limped forward, but not toward Diana. He pressed his massive head against Ryan's leg, a quiet whine escaping his throat. Diana's expression darkened. "Fine." She straightened, crossing her arms. "You want to help him? Then help me find who did this to him. Because if they come back, they won't leave either of you breathing." Ryan's stomach twisted. "Who's they?" Diana's smile was razor-thin. "That's the fun part, Dr. Holt. You're about to find out." Outside, the wind howled like a warning. Chapter 3. The whispering woods lived up to their name. Every rustle of leaves sounded like a hushed secret, every gust of wind a murmured warning. Rena tightened her grip on the hilt of her dagger, her boots sinking slightly into the damp earth. "You sure this is the right way?" she muttered, eyeing the gnarled trees that seemed to twist toward them like skeletal fingers. Kale, a few paces ahead, paused to consult the tattered map in his hands. "Unless the scholar's playing games, the ruins should be just beyond that ridge." He shot her a sideways glance. "Second thoughts," she scoffed. "Please." I've just got a healthy respect for places that look like they'll eat me alive. A low chuckle escaped him. Smart. But too late to turn back now. As if on cue, a twig snapped somewhere to their left. Both froze, hands flying to their weapons. The underbrush rustled, and a scrawny figure stumbled into view. A boy no older than 14. His face smudged with dirt and eyes wide with panic. Rena relaxed slightly, though her fingers didn't leave her dagger. Well, this just got interesting. The boy gasped for breath, clutching his side. YUV got to help. They're coming. Kale stepped forward, his voice steady. Who's coming? Before the boy could answer, a chorus of rough shouts erupted from the trees. Shadows moved between the trunks, armed men, their faces hidden behind black scarves. Rena cursed under her breath.
Blekton gang.
Looks like we found our relic thieves. The boy whimpered. They killed my brother. Said no witnesses. Kale didn't hesitate. Run. That way. He shoved the boy toward a gap in the trees before turning to Rena. Plan. She bared her teeth in a grin. Kick their teeth in? Solid. The first thug lunged, a curved blade flashing. Rena ducked, driving her elbow into his gut before sweeping his legs out from under him. You guys really need better training. Another came at her, swinging wildly. She sidestepped, yanking him forward by his scarf and sending him face first into a tree. Oops, that's gotta hurt. Kale, meanwhile, was a blur of motion. Two men already sprawled unconscious at his feet. He caught her eye, jerking his chin toward a hulking brute charging at them. Big one's yours. Rena cracked her knuckles. Love it when you share. The brute swung a massive club. She dove, rolling to her feet behind him and driving her dagger into his thigh. He roared, stumbling, and she used the distraction to plant a boot in his back, sending him crashing into a bush. Silence fell, save for their ragged breaths. Kale wiped the blood from his lip, surveying the scene. That was too easy. Rena nudged one of the unconscious thugs with her toe. Yeah, well, don't sound so disappointed. A weak cough drew their attention. The boy had crept back, eyes darting between them and the fallen men. You took them down. Kale shrugged. Occupational hazard. Rena knelt, softening her tone. What's your name, kid? T. Tobin. All right, Tobin. You said they killed your brother. Why? His voice trembled. We were just scavenging. Then we saw them. They had this thing, glowing like they freaked when they saw us. Kale and Rena exchanged a glance. The relic. Rena stood, offering Tobin a hand. Stick with us. We'll get you out of here. As they moved deeper into the woods, the air grew thicker, the whispers of the trees more insistent. Kale's jaw tightened. Something's not right. Rena felt it too, a prickle on her skin, like static before a storm. Then the ground trembled. Tobin gasped. What was that? A low, guttural growl echoed through the trees. Something moved in the shadows, something far worse than bandits. Rena swallowed hard. Yeah, we might need a new plan. Chapter. For the first light of dawn painted the sky in pale gold, as Ryan loaded the last of his gear into Diana's sleek black SUV. Nero sat in the back seat, his massive frame taking up nearly the entire space, his golden eyes tracking every movement with eerie intelligence. Ryan tossed his backpack in and turned to see Diana leaning against the hood, arms crossed, watching him with an unreadable expression. You sure you're ready for this, Dr. Holt? She asked, her voice smooth but edged with challenge. Ryan slammed the trunk shut harder than necessary. You mean, am I ready to follow a woman I just met into God knows what kind of trouble?
No, intrigued.
Diana smirked. Good, because if you freeze up when things get messy, I'm not saving you. I didn't ask you to. Ryan yanked open the passenger door. But since we're sharing concerns, do you mind telling me why you're so calm about all this? Most people would be freaking out over a giant wolf thing that understands English. Diana slid into the driver's seat, her movements precise. Most people haven't seen what I've seen. The engine purred to life. Nero let out a low chuff from the back, his breath fogging the window as he stared at the disappearing cabin. Ryan glanced back at him. He's nervous. He's smart, Diana corrected, shifting gears. He knows what we're walking into. The SUV rolled forward, tires crunching over gravel. Ryan watched the trees blur past, his fingers tapping restlessly against his knee. So, this Baroness title, that just for show? Or do you actually have some kind of authority here? Diana's grip on the wheel tightened slightly. It's a name, nothing more. Aha! Ryan leaned back. And the people after Nero? They got names too. A muscle twitched in Diana's jaw. They're part of a black ops group called Cerberus. Think military-grade science experiments gone wrong. Ryan whistled low. That's comforting. Diana shot him a look. You wanted answers. Yeah. And now I'm wondering if I should have brought more ammo. Nero suddenly growled, his head snapping toward the tree line. Diana's foot slammed the brakes, the SUV skidding to a halt. Ryan grabbed the dashboard. What the hell? Diana was already reaching for the glove compartment. We've got company. A shadow moved between the trees, too fast, too fluid to be human. Then another, and another. Ryan's blood turned to ice. Please tell me those are just really big deer. Diana pulled out a sleek handgun, checking the clip with practiced ease. Worse. She tossed him a second weapon. Cerberus's attack dogs. Genetically enhanced. Faster. Stronger. And very, very hungry. Ryan caught the gun, his pulse roaring. You couldn't have led with that? Nero's snarl deepened, his claws digging into the leather seats. Diana's smile was all teeth. Where's the fun in that? The first creature lunged from the woods, a nightmare of muscle and fangs, its eyes glowing an unnatural red. Ryan cocked the gun. Remind me to never help a stray again. Diana kicked open her door. Too late for regrets, Doctor. Time to hunt. Chapter 5. The relic pulsed in Rena's hand, its eerie blue light casting long shadows across the crumbling ruins. The air smelled of ozone and old magic, making her skin prickle with unease. This thing feels alive, she muttered, turning it over in her palm. Kale shot her a wary glance. Then maybe stop poking it like it's some market trinket. She smirked, though her fingers tightened around the relic. What's the worst that could happen? A deafening roar answered her, shaking dust from the ancient stone walls. The creature from the woods, a hulking, twisted thing with too many teeth, lurched into the chamber, its milky eyes fixed on them. Tobin pressed against the wall and let out a strangled noise. That's the worst. Kale drew his sword, the steel ringing in the charged air. Rena, get the kid out of here. She hesitated, torn between the relic and the fight. Like hell, I'm leaving you to play hero alone. He didn't look at her, his stance steady. Heroics get people killed. This thing's after the relic, so you run, and I'll slow it down. The beast lunged, claws raking the ground. Kale barely dodged, countering with a slash that glanced off its thick hide. Rena cursed, shoving the relic into her pack and grabbing Tobin's arm. Move! They bolted for a narrow passage, the creature's snarls echoing behind them. Tobin stumbled, gasping. We can't just leave him. She didn't stop. We're not. But we're also not dying today. Skidding to a halt at a fork in the tunnels, she yanked a vial from her belt. Smoke powder, homemade and volatile. Cover your ears. The explosion rocked the passage, collapsing the way they'd come. Dust billowed, choking the air. Tobin coughed. What if he was? He's fine, Rena snapped, more to convince herself. Stubborn bastards, too mean to die. Silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Then scraping, a muffled curse. Kale emerged from the rubble, blood streaking his temple but very much alive. Next time, he wheezed, give a man some warning. Rena's laugh was half relief, half adrenaline. Where's the fun in that? He glared, but there was no heat in it. The relic. She patted her pack. Safe, but we've got bigger problems. Tobin pointed back the way they'd come. It's not alone. The growls were multiplying, skittering through the dark like whispers. Dozens of eyes gleamed in the shadows. Kale exhaled sharply. You just had to ask, what's the worst that could happen, didn't you? Rena drew her dagger, grinning despite it all. Admit it. You'd be bored without me. The first creature lunged. This time they fought back to back. Chapter 6. The creatures came in waves, gnashing teeth, clawed limbs, and that awful, guttural clicking sound that made Rena's bones vibrate. She spun, dagger flashing, carving a bloody arc through the darkness. Kale, we can't hold them off forever. Kale's sword found the throat of a beast leaping at Tobin, its hot blood spraying across the stone. No kidding, he growled. Got any brilliant ideas? Rena kicked another creature back, her boot connecting with a sickening crunch. Working on it. Her fingers brushed the relic in her pack. Still pulsing, still warm. Too warm. The relic's reacting to them. Maybe we can use it. Toby pressed against the wall with a broken chair leg as his only weapon, yelped as claws grazed his shoulder. Maybe do it fast? Kale grabbed Rena's arm, yanking her back as a massive set of jaws snapped where her head had been. How? She didn't hesitate. Throw it. What? Trust me. With a grunt, Kale snatched the relic from her pack and hurled it down the tunnel. It clattered against the stone, its glow flaring violently. The creatures shrieked, their milky eyes locking onto it. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the relic exploded. The blast threw Rena off her feet, the world tipping sideways in a burst of blue fire. She hit the ground hard, ears ringing, vision swimming. When she blinked the spots away, the creatures were gone. Scattered, fleeing, or worse. Kale groaned beside her, rolling onto his back. Remind me, never to let you plan again. She coughed, spitting out dust. Oh, come on. That worked. Tobin sat up slowly, clutching his bleeding shoulder. Define worked. The ruins trembled, cracks spiderwebbing across the ceiling. Kale's eyes widened. Move, now. They ran, stumbling over rubble as the tunnel collapsed behind them. Daylight seared Rena's eyes as they burst free, tumbling onto the mossy forest floor just as the entrance sealed itself with a final, thunderous crash. Silence. Then birdsong absurdly cheerful. Rena lay there, heart hammering, and started laughing. We're alive. Kale sat up, wiping blood from his brow. Barely, but the corner of his mouth twitched. You're insane. She grinned. And you love it. Tobin groaned, flopping onto his back. Can we not almost die for 5 minutes? Kale stood, offering Rena a hand. Where's the fun in that? She let him pull her up, their grip lingering just a second too long. The relic was gone, the job botched, but they were alive, and the scholar's secrets could wait. For now, somewhere in the trees, a twig snapped. Rena's dagger was in her hand before she'd fully turned. You've got to be kidding me. A figure stepped into the clearing, hooded, silent. The scholar. Kale's sword was up in an instant. You. The scholar tilted his head. You're harder to kill than I expected. Rena bared her teeth. Try us. The story wasn't over yet. Chapter 7. The scholar's hood shifted slightly as he studied them, his face still hidden in shadow. The air between them crackled with tension, thick enough to choke on. Rena kept her dagger raised, her muscles coiled like a spring. You set us up, she spat. Those creatures. The relic. This was all some twisted game to you, wasn't it? The scholar's voice was calm, almost amused. A test, more accurately. Once you passed, mostly. Kale's grip on his sword didn't waver. We lost the relic. Nearly died. That's a pass to you. A dry chuckle escaped the hood. The relic was never the point. It was bait, for them. He gestured toward the collapsed ruins. The beasts are drawn to its power. And now, thanks to you, an entire nest is gone. Tobin, still clutching his injured shoulder, gaped. Wait, we were just pest control? Rena's eyes narrowed. You used us. The scholar tilted his head. I employed you. There's a difference. Kale took a step forward, his voice low and dangerous. You could have told us the truth. And would you have taken the job if I had? Rena opened her mouth, then shut it. He had a point. The scholar sighed as if disappointed by their silence. You're resourceful, skilled, but predictable. He reached into his cloak and tossed a small, jingling pouch at their feet. Payment, as promised. Rena didn't move to pick it up. What's the catch? No catch, though. I do have another job. One with real stakes. Kale snorted. Not a chance. The scholar's tone sharpened. The Blackthorn gang wasn't acting alone. They serve a man named Varric. He's gathering relics, not to sell but to use. And if he succeeds, Eldermere burns. A cold knot formed in Rena's stomach. You're lying. Am I? The scholar finally pushed back his hood, revealing a face lined with scars and eyes that held no humor at all. Check the docks tonight. See for yourself. Silence stretched between them, heavy and uncertain. Tobin swallowed hard. He's not lying. Kale shot him a look. How do you know? The boy hesitated. Because my brother heard them talking before they killed him. They mentioned Varric. Said he was building something. Rena and Kale exchanged a glance. Damn it. She bent down, snatching the coin pouch with a grimace. Fine. We'll look. But if this is another trick, the scholar was already turning away. You'll stab me. Understood. And just like that, he vanished into the trees, leaving them standing there, bruised, bloodied, and thoroughly played. Kale exhaled sharply. I hate that guy. Rena pocketed the coins, her mind racing. Yeah, well, hate him later. She nodded toward the distant glow of Eldermere's lanterns. We've got a dock to check. Tobin groaned. Can I at least get stitches first? Kale clapped him on the back, gently. Welcome to the team, kid. As they trudged toward the city, Rena couldn't shake the feeling that this was far from over. The relics, Varric, the scholars' games, it was all connected. And somehow they were right in the middle of it. She smirked to herself. At least life was never boring. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and as always, keep the last light burning. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and as always, keep the last light burning.